The alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace in complete silence. No victory music, no celebration, only tension. Captain Zyrak stood on the command platform of the exploration cruiser Silver Witness, staring at the planet below. The scans did not lie. The world was marked with a red warning symbol across every galactic database. Extreme gravity, violent electrical storms, unstable terrain, unknown predators, a nightmare world. This planet should not exist, one of the alien scientists whispered. His long fingers trembled as he checked the data again. No intelligent life could survive here. Zyrak agreed. The Council had ordered them to investigate a strange signal coming from this system, but no one expected it to be coming from that planet. Every species in the known galaxy avoided death worlds like this one. They were places where nature itself seemed angry. Any signs of civilization? Zyrak asked. The sensors officer hesitated. Negative, Captain. No cities, no energy grids, no orbital defenses. That should have been comforting. Instead, it made the crew even more uneasy. Then came the impossible. There is one life form detected on the surface, the officer said slowly. The bridge went quiet. One, Zyrak turned. One of what species? The officer swallowed. Human. Murmurs spread through the bridge. Humans were new to the galactic stage, recently discovered, recently contacted, recently feared. They were classified as a mid-level technological species, but their psychological profile worried many civilizations. Humans adapted too fast, survived too easily, and worst of all, they came from a world already labeled a death world by galactic standards. Still, this planet was worse. Confirm, Zyrak said. The display changed, zooming in through thick clouds and lightning. The image shook as storms raged below. Through the chaos, a single figure could be seen walking calmly across the surface. No shelter, no escort, no visible fear. The human wore protective gear, but nothing excessive. No heavy weapons, no defensive formation. He was alone. That world kills trained exploration teams in minutes, one of the security officers said. How is a human surviving there? Before anyone could answer, the human looked up, straight at the sky, straight at them. The signal came seconds later, an open broadcast. Unknown ship, the human said calmly, his voice clear despite the storm. You guys lost. The bridge erupted into confusion. He sees us. That storm should block all visual detection. Zyrak raised a clawed hand. Open communication. The human's face appeared on the main screen, wet hair, calm eyes. A slight smile as if he was greeting neighbors instead of aliens hovering over a death world. This is Captain Zyrak of the Exploration Fleet, Zyrak said carefully. You are on a highly dangerous planet. Identify yourself. Name S. Jack, the human replied. Survey specialist sent here to check if this rock is livable. Several aliens stared in disbelief. Livable, the scientist repeated. Zyrak leaned forward. Human Jack, this planet is classified as extremely lethal. You should evacuate immediately. Jack looked around. Lightning struck the ground nearby. A massive alien creature roared somewhere in the distance. He shrugged. Yeah, it's rough, Jack said, but I've seen worse. Silence followed. Zyrak felt something unfamiliar tighten in his chest. Fear, no, something else, concern. Human Jack, he said slowly, we are ordered to investigate a signal from this world. We will attempt a landing to extract you. Jack's smile widened. Sure, just watch where you land. The ground's unstable near the eastern ridge. How do you? The pilot began, but Jack had already cut the feed. The landing was tense. Turbulence rocked the ship. Lightning slammed against the hull. Warning alarms screamed as systems struggled to compensate for the environment. When the ship finally touched down, the crew exhaled in relief. That relief did not last. The ground shifted. The ship tilted violently. Stabilizers failing. The engineer shouted. Outside, massive shapes moved through the rain, glowing eyes, clawed limbs, predators drawn by noise and vibration. Security teams rushed to positions, weapons raised. Then the hatch opened. Jack climbed inside like he was entering a warm room, not escaping death. Hey, he said casually, you guys okay? The aliens stared at him. Behind him, a creature twice the size of the ship rose from the mud, its many eyes locking onto the vessel. Weapons powered up. Panic spread. Jack noticed the tension and glanced back. Oh, he said, that thing. He stepped outside again before anyone could stop him. Hey, the security officer yelled. Jack waved his arms. Go on, shoo. The creature hesitated. Then, incredibly, it backed away, disappearing into the storm. Jack returned, brushing mud off his boots. They're territorial, not aggressive, he explained. You just landed on its feeding ground. No one spoke. Zyrek finally found his voice. How do you know so much about this planet? Jack blinked. I've been here 3 days. 3 days on a planet that killed advanced alien teams in minutes. Zyrek realized something then. The signal they came to investigate was not a distress call. It was a human survey beacon. This world is under human exploration? Zyrek asked. Jack nodded. Yeah, Command wants to know if it's suitable for a forward base. Storms are bad, wildlife's ugly, but nothing unmanageable. The aliens exchanged fearful glances. A base, the scientist whispered. Jack looked around the cramped, damaged ship. So, he said, completely relaxed, where do you want to set up camp? Outside, thunder roared. Inside, the aliens understood the truth. This was not a nightmare world because it was deadly. It was a nightmare world because humans could live here, and they were not afraid. The alien ship remained silent long after the human finished speaking. Captain Zyrek watched Jack closely. The human stood calmly in the middle of the command bay, rainwater still dripping from his gear, as if the storm outside had been nothing more than a mild inconvenience. Around him, the alien crew struggled to process what they had just heard. A forward base on this planet. This world is not suitable for settlement, the chief scientist said, his voice shaking. Our data proves it. Atmospheric instability alone. Jack raised a hand politely. Yeah, your data's right. Mostly, the scientist stopped. Mostly? Zyrek repeated. Jack nodded. Storm cycles are predictable once you stay long enough. Creatures react to sound and vibration, not sight. Gravity's heavy, but the human body adapts fast. Food's questionable, but workable. He spoke like someone describing bad weather, not certain death. You speak as if survival is guaranteed, Zyrek said carefully. Jack tilted his head. Isn't it? That question hit harder than any weapon. Outside the ship, the ground trembled again. Something massive moved beneath the surface. Warning lights flickered as the stabilizers strained. Captain, the engineer said, we can't remain here long. The hull damage is increasing. Zyrek knew that meant retreat. Protocol demanded it, but protocol had not prepared him for humans. Human Jack, Zyrek said, we will attempt emergency repairs and leave this planet. You will come with us. Jack frowned slightly. Can't. The bridge froze. Explain, Zyrek said. My beacon's still active, Jack replied. Command expects daily reports. If I leave without clearance, they'll assume something went wrong. Zyrek felt his patience thinning. Something has gone wrong. This planet is lethal. Jack smiled again, that calm smile, not lethal enough. Before Zyrek could respond, alarms blared. Multiple life forms approaching, the sensor officer shouted. From all directions, the screen filled with movement. Shapes crawled, slithered, and rose from the storm-soaked ground. Dozens of predators surrounded the ship, drawn by its heat and noise. Security teams took positions, weapons charging. Jack stepped forward. Wait, he said. Humans, step back. The security chief snapped, but Jack didn't listen. He pressed a few buttons on his wrist device. A low-frequency pulse spread outward. Outside, the creatures stopped. They hissed, growled, some reared up. Then slowly they backed away. The aliens stared in shock. You controlled them. The scientist whispered. Jack shook his head. Nah, just told them this area's already claimed. Claimed? Zyrek asked. Jack shrugged. By something bigger. What could be bigger than those creatures? The security chief demanded. Jack looked up toward the dark sky. Us. The word hung heavy in the air. Zyrek suddenly understood. Humans did not conquer worlds with fleets alone. They did it by belonging to danger. Captain, the pilot interrupted, repairs are possible, but we need time. Hours. Zyrek looked at the screen again. The creatures had retreated, but the storm was growing worse. Hours on a nightmare world. Against every instinct, Zyrek nodded. Begin repairs. Jack grinned. Good call. Time passed slowly. The storm raged without mercy. Lightning struck nearby cliffs. The ground shifted beneath the ship. Alien crew members worked under constant fear, expecting death at every moment. Jack helped. Not because he was ordered to, because it made sense to him. He carried equipment twice his size. He climbed outside the hull during heavy rain to secure damaged panels. He moved with confidence as if the planet itself respected him. The aliens watched in silence. He should be dead, the scientist muttered. By all scientific logic. Zyrek began to wonder if their logic was flawed. Then the ground screamed. A deep, echoing sound tore through the storm. The ship shook violently. This is different, the sensor officer said. Something massive is approaching, larger than previous life forms. Jack stopped working. His expression changed, not fear, focus. Okay, he said quietly, that's not good. Zyrak's heart raced. You said this planet was manageable. It is, Jack replied. Most of the time. The ground split open. A colossal creature rose from beneath the mud. Its body glowed with bioluminescent patterns. Its limbs cracked the earth. Its roar drowned out the storm. The aliens froze in terror. Weapons fired. Energy bolts struck the creature's hide and vanished without effect. It's immune, the security chief shouted. The creature advanced. Jack stepped forward. Human no, Zyrak shouted. Jack activated his wrist device again, but this time nothing happened. Signals jammed, Jack muttered. The creature loomed over the ship. Jack took a deep breath. Then he did something no one expected. He stood his ground. He planted his feet firmly in the mud, raised his arms, and shouted, not in anger, in challenge. The creature stopped. It lowered its massive head, studying the human. Seconds passed. Then, incredibly, it turned away. The creature retreated into the storm, disappearing beneath the ground once more. Silence followed. Rain continued to fall. The alien stared at Jack as if he were something impossible. What are you? The scientist whispered. Jack looked confused. Human? Zyrak realized then that this was the misunderstanding. The galaxy believed humans survived because of technology. They were wrong. Humans survived because they refused to believe the universe could tell them no. Repairs finished soon after. The ship stabilized. Zyrak approached Jack. You may be correct, Zyrak said slowly. This world may be survivable for humans. Jack smiled, told you. But it is not survivable for us, Zyrak continued. Jack nodded, serious now. Yeah, that's the problem. Zyrak looked out at the stormy horizon. This planet will change the balance of power, he said. If humans claim it, Jack followed his gaze. They won't just claim it, he said. They'll adapt it. The thought sent a chill through the alien crew. As the ship prepared to leave, Zyrak understood one terrifying truth. The galaxy had feared nightmare worlds. It should have feared the species that felt at home on them. The alien ship lifted off from the nightmare world with visible damage. As it climbed through the storm clouds, many of the crew expected the planet to strike them one last time. But it did not. The world remained below, silent and waiting. Jack stood near the viewport, watching the clouds swallow the surface. He looked calm, but his mind was already working. Captain Zyrak watched him from a distance. The human did not behave like someone who had narrowly escaped death. He behaved like someone leaving a work site. You are certain you wish to return? Zyrak asked. Jack turned. Yeah, command needs the full report. And I left equipment down there. Zyrak found that disturbing. You speak as if the planet belongs to you. Jack thought for a moment. Not yet. The ship entered hyperspace soon after. During the journey, tension filled every corridor. The alien crew avoided Jack, not out of hatred, but out of uncertainty. He had walked outside the ship during a storm. He had faced creatures that ignored their weapons. He had challenged something ancient and survived. To them, Jack was no longer just human. He was a warning. When the ship arrived at the nearest galactic relay station, news spread fast. Reports were sent. Data was uploaded. And fear began to move through the galaxy faster than any ship. A human survived a nightmare world alone. Worse, he wanted to build on it. The Galactic Council assembled within hours. Massive holographic figures filled the chamber. Leaders from dozens of species appeared, their expressions tense. Captain Zyrak stood before them and gave his report. He spoke carefully, choosing his words with precision. He described the storms, the creatures, the planet's hostility. And then he described the human. He adapted, Zyrak said, not through advanced technology alone, but through instinct and behavior. The planet did not break him. Murmurs echoed through the chamber. One council member leaned forward. Are you suggesting humans can colonize death worlds? Zyrak hesitated. I am suggesting, he said, that humans do not see death worlds the same way we do. The chamber fell silent. Another council member spoke. If humans establish a base there, they gain access to regions we cannot reach. They gain strategic advantage. Fear sharpened into something darker, decision. The council voted quickly. Human expansion would be monitored closely. Back on Earth, Jack stood in a debriefing room facing a row of human officers. Screens behind him displayed images of the nightmare world. The planet is rough, Jack said simply, but it's workable. Long-term base possible with the right prep. One officer frowned. You're saying we can hold it? Jack nodded. Easily. Another officer asked, and the local life forms? Jack smiled slightly. They'll learn. Orders were given. Within days, human ships began moving. Exploration vessels, Engineering teams, defense platforms, the galaxy noticed. Alien observers watched in disbelief as humans descended onto the nightmare world again. This time they did not come as survivors, they came as builders. The first human base was simple. Reinforced structures anchored deep into the ground. Shielding designed to bend with the storms instead of resisting them. Noise dampeners to avoid provoking predators. Every decision showed understanding, not force. Aliens watched from orbit as humans worked outside during lightning storms, laughed over damaged equipment, and adapted routines around the planet's dangers. "This is madness," one observer whispered. "No," another replied. "This is humanity," but not everyone watched in silence. A rival alien coalition saw opportunity. If humans could claim death worlds, they could bypass traditional borders. They could strike from places no one else could survive. That could not be allowed. A strike force was assembled. Their goal was not conquest, it was demonstration. The attack came without warning. Alien ships dropped from hyperspace near the nightmare world, weapons charged. They targeted the human base directly. Alarms sounded across the human settlement. Jack ran toward the command shelter as explosions rocked the ground. Unknown vessels approaching fast? A technician shouted. Jack checked the display. "They're not here to talk." Defensive systems activated. Human weapons fired back, but the attackers had superior numbers. Explosions lit the storm-filled sky. Aliens in orbit watched in shock. The nightmare world shook as war came to its surface. The attacking force landed troops near the base. Advanced alien soldiers moved quickly, expecting chaos. They did not find it. Human defenders met them head-on, not with panic, with preparation. The ground itself became a weapon. Mud traps swallowed heavy armor. Storm surges overloaded alien shields. Predators drawn by noise attacked both sides, but humans anticipated it, guiding chaos toward their enemies. Jack led a team through the rain, moving with the planet, not against it. The attackers began to falter. "This environment is impossible," one alien commander shouted. Jack heard the transmission and smiled grimly. "Welcome to the neighborhood," he muttered. The turning point came when the storms intensified beyond prediction. Lightning struck an alien ship during low orbit, tearing it apart. Panic spread through the attacking force. Retreat orders were given too late. The nightmare world claimed its price. When the attack ended, wreckage burned across the surface. Alien survivors fled to orbit. The human base still stood, damaged, but standing. Silence followed the battle. Jack stood outside, rain washing ash from the ground. He looked at the broken enemy equipment scattered around him. The message was clear. This world did not protect humans. Humans had learned to work with it. Back at the Galactic Council, the report caused shock. Humans had defended a death world against a superior force, on the planet itself. One council member spoke quietly. "If they can fight there, they can fight anywhere." Captain Zyrek listened to the recordings in silence. He remembered Jack standing calmly in the storm, asking where to set up camp. The galaxy had tried to test humanity. The test had failed, and the nightmare worlds were no longer empty. They were becoming human ground. The galaxy did not sleep after the battle. News spread fast, faster than fear ever had. The recording of the failed attack was replayed again and again across alien networks. Ships breaking apart in storms. Soldiers sinking into living ground. Humans moving with confidence where others fell. The nightmare world had chosen a side. At the Galactic Council chamber, tension filled the air. Representatives argued openly now, their voices sharp and afraid. "They weaponized a death world," one council member said. "No," another replied. "They survived it, there is a difference." Captain Zyrek stood quietly listening. He had seen the truth with his own eyes. Humans did not dominate the planet. They respected it in their own strange way. A senior council leader finally raised a hand for silence. "We cannot allow unchecked human expansion," the leader said. "If they continue, they will control regions we cannot even enter." "And what do you suggest?" another asked. The answer came cold and clear. Containment, not war, not yet. Isolation. The decision was made to declare nightmare worlds restricted zones under council authority. Any human presence would be considered a violation. The message was sent. On the nightmare world, Jack read the transmission in silence. Around him, the base buzzed with activity. Repairs continued. New structures rose from the mud and stone. "They think rules will stop us," one engineer said quietly. Jack exhaled. "They're scared. That doesn't make them harmless." Jack nodded. "No, it makes them dangerous." Human command responded carefully. Officially, they agreed to pause expansion. Unofficially, preparation increased. Supply routes were secured. Defensive systems improved. New training programs began, focused on extreme environments. Nightmare world survival became a human skill. Alien observers noticed something else. Humans were not building just one base. They were building knowledge. Reports came in of humans visiting other deadly planets, testing, learning, adapting. Each visit lasted longer. Each return brought more confidence. Captain Zyrak watched these developments with growing concern. He was invited to Earth as a diplomatic observer, a sign of trust that made many aliens uncomfortable. On Earth, he saw something that explained everything. Humans trained in storms, in deserts, in frozen wastes. They did not avoid danger. They practiced inside it. During a meeting with human leaders, Zyrak finally spoke the question that haunted him. Why, he asked, why push into places that wish to kill you? A human commander considered the question. Because if we don't, the commander said, someone else will, and they might not be ready. Zyrak understood then. Humans did not see danger as an enemy. They saw it as a responsibility. Back on the nightmare world, the Council's restrictions began to show cracks. Alien patrols avoided close orbit. No one wanted to test the storms again. That space became human space by default. One night, sensors detected movement beneath the surface again, not a predator, something older. Jack stood on a reinforced platform, watching the ground shift. The planet was changing. Geological activity increased. Storm patterns shifted. The world reacted to human presence not with aggression but adjustment. It's learning us, a scientist said. Jack smiled slightly. We're learning it too, but peace did not last. A secret coalition formed among fearful species. They believed containment was failing. Humans were spreading without permission. They chose a final solution. A weapon designed not to fight humans, but to break the planet. The plan was simple: destabilize the core, trigger chain reactions. Turn the nightmare world into a dead one. If humans could not have it, no one would. The device entered orbit unnoticed, masked by storm interference. Jack felt something was wrong before the alarm sounded. The ground vibrated in a way he had never felt before. Energy spike detected. A technician shouted. From orbit. Jack's blood ran cold. They're not attacking us, he said. They're attacking the planet. Systems strained as the weapon activated. The storms went wild. Lightning tore through the sky non-stop. The ground cracked open in long, glowing lines. Panic spread through the base. If the core destabilizes, the scientist shouted, the planet could tear itself apart. Jack made a decision fast. Prep an ascent team, he ordered. I'm going up. You'll die, someone protested. Jack shook his head. Not today. A small craft launched into the storm, shaking violently as it climbed. Jack piloted manually, fighting wind and gravity. Alien ships appeared on sensors. The attackers were still there, watching. Jack opened a channel. This ends now, he said calmly. The coalition leader appeared on screen. Step away, human. This world must not belong to you. Jack's eyes hardened. It doesn't belong to us. He pushed the controls forward. It belongs to itself. Jack slammed the craft into the device, using the storm itself as cover. The impact shattered the weapon's outer shell. Energy surged. For a moment it seemed like everything would end. Then the planet responded. Storm energy redirected. Ground movement stabilized. The weapon collapsed in on itself and vanished in a blinding flash. The nightmare world survived. Jack's craft crashed back toward the surface, barely controlled. It slammed into the ground near the base. Rescue teams reached him minutes later. He was alive, bruised, exhausted, smiling. In orbit, the alien ships retreated in silence. Back at the Galactic Council, the final report ended all arguments. Humans had saved a nightmare world, not for power, not for control, but because it was alive. Captain Zyrak stood alone afterward, staring at the stars. He finally understood the truth. The galaxy feared humans because they conquered danger. But the real fear should have been this: humans would protect what they survived, and they would never abandon it. The galaxy changed after the nightmare world survived. It did not change loudly. There were no grand announcements or dramatic speeches. The change came quietly through behavior, through caution, through hesitation. Alien patrol routes shifted away from death worlds. Trade lanes adjusted. Military planning documents were rewritten. Because one truth could no longer be ignored. Humans could live where others could not. Captain Zyrak returned to his home system with a heavy mind. His people asked him many questions, but he found that clear answers were hard to give. How could he explain a species that did not dominate planets, yet somehow claimed them anyway? They adapt, he finally said, and then they stay. On the nightmare world, the human base grew stronger, not larger in size but deeper in connection. Structures blended into the terrain. Energy systems synced with storm cycles. Even the predators changed their patterns, avoiding human areas without aggression. The planet was no longer hostile. It was cautious. Jack recovered slowly from the crash. Doctors ordered rest, but he ignored most of it. He walked the base daily, checking systems, talking to teams, listening. He always listened. One evening, as purple lightning flashed across the sky, Jack stood with a group of scientists on a high platform. "The planet's core activity is stabilizing," one said. "It's adapting around us." Jack nodded, "Or we're adapting to it." That too. A message arrived from Earth soon after. Not an order, a question: should we expand further? Jack knew the answer was not simple. The galaxy watched closely now. Every human move carried weight. Fear had not vanished. It had sharpened into calculation. Meanwhile, the secret coalition that tried to destroy the planet did not disappear. They retreated, but they did not forget. They changed tactics. Instead of force, they used influence. Rumors spread through the galaxy. Humans were reckless. Humans endangered ecosystems. Humans would bring destruction wherever they went. Some believed it, others doubted. The Galactic Council called another assembly. This time, humans were invited not as observers but as equals. Jack did not attend. He hated politics. Instead, Captain Zyrak spoke for experience. "I have seen humans face extinction calmly," Zyrak said to the council. "I have seen them protect a world they did not create. You fear their strength. You should be studying their restraint." The chamber was quiet. A council leader responded. "Restraint today does not guarantee restraint tomorrow." Zyrak nodded. "That is true of every species here." The debate ended without resolution, but something had shifted. For the first time, humans were not being talked about. They were being negotiated with. On the nightmare world, sensors detected an unfamiliar signal. Not hostile, not human. An alien research vessel approached slowly, carefully avoiding storm zones. Jack watched from the command deck. "They're requesting permission to land," a technician said. Jack raised an eyebrow. "Permission?" "Yes, from us." Jack felt the weight of that. "Clear them for a safe zone," he said, "and tell them the ground rules." The alien ship landed gently. Its crew emerged slowly, eyes wide with fear and curiosity. Jack met them outside. "You're brave," he said simply. The alien leader bowed slightly. "We wish to learn, not claim." Jack smiled. Good start. That landing became a symbol. Soon more followed. Joint research teams, limited cooperation, shared data, not everywhere, but here. The nightmare world became neutral ground. A place where danger forced honesty. Not everyone liked that. The secret coalition made one final attempt to regain control, not through destruction, through pressure. They threatened trade sanctions. Isolation, economic collapse. Human leadership listened calmly, then declined. Humans had learned something important. Nightmare worlds offered resources others could not reach. Energy, materials, strategic depth. The galaxy needed humans more than it wanted to admit. Jack stood once more under the storm, watching lightning strike distant cliffs. He felt the planet's rhythm now, the way storms moved, the way the ground shifted. He was not alone anymore. This world was no longer just a test. It was a message. Captain Zyrak sent one final report to the council, unofficial, personal. "Humans do not conquer fear," he wrote. "They walk into it, learn its shape, and build a home inside it. If you force them to choose between survival and approval, they will always choose survival." The council read it in silence. On Earth, new generations trained with nightmare world data. Not soldiers, explorers, engineers, mediators. Humans were changing too, not becoming harsher, becoming steadier. The galaxy watched as humans stopped expanding outward rapidly. Instead, they strengthened what they had. That worried some even more. Jack received a message late one night. No signature, no threat, just coordinates. Another death world. Untouched, unclaimed. Jack closed the message and looked out at the storm. He did not smile, he understood. This was not about territory anymore, it was about balance, and the galaxy was running out of places to hide from what it feared. The nightmare world rumbled softly beneath his feet. Not angry, aware. And far away in council chambers and hidden bases, one question spread quietly from species to species. If humans could survive there, what else could they survive? And what would they choose to protect next? The message Jack received did not come with orders. That alone made it important. He stood in the quiet command room of the Nightmare World base, the storm outside softer than it used to be. The planet had changed over time, or maybe humans had learned how to listen to it. Jack replayed the coordinates in his mind. Another death world, but this time something was different. The signal was old, ancient. Older than any known civilization in the galaxy. Jack did not rush to respond. Instead, he sent one message to Captain Zyrak. The reply came faster than expected. "I was hoping you would contact me," Zyrak said when the connection opened. His face looked older now, tired but calm. "You knew?" Jack asked. Zyrak nodded slowly. "The Council knows as well they are afraid." "Of what?" "Of what you might find." Jack looked back at the storm. "Then they already know the answer." The Council assembled one last time. This time the chamber was quieter. Fear was still there, but it was mixed with something new. Respect. The ancient signal was revealed to all. A structure buried deep within a death world, untouched by storms, predators, or time. It was proof that something had existed before all current species. And it had chosen a nightmare world to hide. The question was simple. Who would go? No alien volunteered. Jack stood from his seat. "We will," he said. Some protested, some objected, some warned of consequences. Jack listened. Then he spoke again. "We won't claim it. We won't weaponize it. We'll just find out what it is." "And if it is dangerous?" a council leader asked. Jack met their gaze. "Then it's already our problem." The council voted. Permission was granted, not because they trusted humans completely, but because they trusted themselves even less. The journey took weeks. The new death world was worse than the last, darker, colder. Its storms tore across the surface like living things. Human ships descended carefully. Jack stepped onto the surface first. The ground trembled. The world tested him. He stayed. Teams followed. They moved slowly, respectfully. They did not dig blindly. They listened to the land. They watched patterns. They waited. And then they found it. The structure was not a weapon. It was a record, a warning. Long ago, a species had grown powerful, too powerful. They had spread without care, breaking worlds instead of learning them. When they realized their mistake, it was too late. They built their final message in the only places no one would claim easily. Nightmare worlds. The message was simple. Survival without respect is extinction delayed. Jack stood silently as the translation finished. Around him, humans felt something rare. Humility. They returned with the data and shared it fully. No secrets, no control. The galaxy listened. Some denied it, some ignored it, but most understood. The Council made its final decision soon after. Nightmare worlds would no longer be forbidden. They would be protected. No species could claim them alone. Humans were named stewards.